Hey guys, so I'm back with another .NET MAUI video. In this video, we are going to implement a FAB floating action button. So you must have seen these buttons on the web. So it's basically a button which keeps floating on the left bottom or right bottom of the screen, and on clicking of that, uh, it opens another multiple menus. So we are going to implement that in .NET MAUI today, the animated floating action button. So I have created a blank project, new project .NET MAUI, and I have simply ran it. Now we are going to start. Yep. So first thing, I'm going to clear out everything. Where's all these? So let me remove these as well. Yep. So in order to create floating action buttons, how it works, there is mostly grids. So there will be one grid, and let's add some padding, maybe 10. Now there will be two rows, but we have not defined any row definition because we will add those on the same row and same column. So it is going to the second item, it is going to uh, display over the first item. So it will look like a hover button, basically floating upon the content. So let's see. So the first thing would be horizontal or maybe vertical stack layout, and I'm going to have a label here with some text. Maybe let's implement animated floating action button using document MAUI with the reference. And I'm going to repeat it. So you see, I'm going to repeat it multiple times. Yep, it is not scrolling, so let's add a scroll view here. Scroll view, and now I can scroll it. Now this grid, it has one item right now, scroll view. So this is when there is no row and column definitions provided for grid. It actually works with single row and single column. The scroll view, it is actually a single child of this grid, so it is spread around first column and first row. Now what we are going to do, we are going to add, for now let's add a button with text, maybe fab, just this. So now this is again, now this scroll view, this is the first item. Now this button, it is actually displaying over scroll view. So now we need to design it so that it looks like a floating action button. So first thing, we will set horizontal options to end. So horizontally at the very right, and vertically also at the very end. So you see, now we can do whatever we want to do on the screen, and this button actually is kind of floating at the bottom right corner of the screen. So the button using word, well, let's say change it to in. Yep. So you see, this is actually overlaying this the text. So this is floating action button, this is the basic floating action button. Now we need to add a click handler on it, and when we are clicking or let's say tapping on it, we want to open couple of menus. Okay, so for now let's design those menus. So this button, now this button, we are going to change this, or maybe we will add another element here, vertical stack layout, and we will add couple of uh, these couple of links or menus here. So let's make these buttons only. So maybe link one, and let's copy these, all these, and the same thing which we provided for this, we are going to apply this. Now we need to add some styling for this, maybe for this vertical layout. Let's add padding of 10. Fine, maybe we will add the same thing to here also, padding of 10. And the second thing, let's add some margin, uh, 0, 0, maybe 0 and 50 from the bottom. Yep. And now for all these buttons, what we can say, we can provide spacing on this 5. Yep. So we have all these menus. Four, link 5, link 6. So this. Now what we need to do, we simply need to hide these buttons by default, and when we click on this FAB button, at that time these menus should come out bottom or from maybe from right side. So let's implement from right side only. So what we are going to do for margin, as I already mentioned in my previous video, so how margin works: left, top, right and bottom. So for right, we are going to give some negative padding, negative margin, so maybe 100. So now those items, this vertical stack layout with all these buttons, this is actually there, but that is off screen on the right side. Okay, and now this button is here. Maybe let's add some margin also for this, or maybe remove this padding and simply add this margin only. Okay, now what we need to do, maybe we can style it more, but before that, in order to apply custom animation, so we have animations, we can apply animations from C# code, from code behind only. So in order to access these elements on the C# side, what we need to do, we need to add this name property to these. So maybe we can say FAB btn for this one, and for this vertical stack layout, maybe we can say x name, maybe FAB actions or FAB btn's container. So we have these uh, names for these controls, and we can access these names on this side. So what we need to do, when we click on this FAB button, then these items should come from the -100 to this 0. So let's add event to this. Maybe clicked, and add this new event handler, and we are here now. So first thing, we need to access this button. So let's start with some basic animation. So for this button, this sender, we know this sender is of type button, and on this button we can access these methods. So these rotate. So basic animation consists of three things: rotating, scaling and translating. So rotating, so we are going to rotate it, maybe for now, just let me think. So how this works, we are going to rotate it maybe anti-clockwise 90 degree. So we can define minus 90. And all these methods are async method. So we can apply async and await. So because this is a C sharp change, we need to rerun it. So let's rerun it. So you see, it is actually, I don't know if you saw this or not. When we clicked on this, it actually rotated. And maybe let's do some toggling logic. So can say we can have a private variable here, private maybe bool, uh, maybe rotated, default value is false, and we can check it here if it was false, or maybe let's use it here. If rotated, if it was rotated already, then we need to uh, move it to 0, and if it was not rotated, we need to rotate it to minus 90 degree basically. So yep, so it will give us the toggle logic. Sorry, first thing, if it was not rotated, we are going to set it to rotated. Let's change it to this thing, rerun. So you see it's working. So this is the default state, and when we click on this, the first time rotated is false. So it came here. If it was false, then it is going to rotate it to minus 90 degrees. So it is going to rotate anti-clockwise 90 degree, and then we are setting rotated to not rotated. That means if it was false, it is going to set as true. Now the next time when we click on this button, now rotated is true. So when it came true, the rotation degree is 0, so it is going to rotate 0 again, so it will be in the initial state. So this is how this rotating work. Now when we click on this and when it rotates, we need to show those buttons which we actually hide. Those are on off screen right now, so we need to move them back to the main screen. So how we can do that? So if you remember, we had given that collection a name, FAB buttons container. So we can access it here, FAB buttons container dot, and now we can change its maybe margin. So margin, it uses a unit of thickness struct. So all these are 0, but what we need all these 0 except the last one. So last one should be 50, all three we need 0. So 0 0 0 and 50. And this third one, if you see, minus 100 means we are hiding those. So this third value, we can use this. So maybe we can use this only. So if it was rotated, we are going to set it 0. If it is again in the initial state, we are going to set minus 100. So let's see how it behaves. So you see, things are working, but now this actually appears and then disappears quickly because we are directly setting it. We are directly modifying the margin of this container. We are not animating this. So now we need this functionality, the same functionality, but we need to animate it. So in order to animate this, what we need, there is an animate method. We need to call this, and now we need to animate this margin property. So this animate, there is a generic type, this t. So this t is actually what type of value this animate is going to change. So when we say animate for margin, what it is going to do, it is going to change margin. Maybe when we are going to show it, it is going to change this margin from -100 to 0 gradually. -100, maybe then -90, 80, 60, 70, 50, 40, 10, and then 0. And when for the reverse, what it is going to do, from 0 it is going to change it till -100. So from 0, then maybe -10, 20, 30, 40, 50, minus till -100. That is how it is going to do. So we need to animate the margin, and this margin is of type thickness. So this generic parameter, this is going to be thickness. Now we have string name, so we can reuse the these animate functions. So for now, maybe let's add this fab actions or maybe fab buttons. Name is totally up to you. You can name it whatever you want. Now this second parameter for this is a func delegate which takes double and returns thickness. This thickness came from here, so this is a transform delegate, transform function. So let me move to the second line. So this delegate, so this v, we are getting v, and we need to return thickness object. So thickness, we are going to work on this. Then the third object, all these are all these has the default values, right? Yeah. So after transform, we have this action thickness callbacks. This is actually a when the animation completed, then not animation completed means whenever uh, this transform delegate, whenever this is getting executed, it is returning a thickness value. So what we need to do with this thickness value, so we can define that in this third parameter callback. So you see, this is action delegate which takes a thickness parameter. So this thickness parameter comes from the second parameter, this one, this transform function. So in this we are going to say maybe new thickness, and we are going to set the margin. So we have this fab buttons container, we are going to set that this new thickness to this margin. So these are all the required parameter which we need, and there are a bunch of other parameters. So rate, length, easing, then finished, on finished what should it do, then repeat, should it be repeated or not. So all these things you can play around with these. So now this v, this second parameter, this value, or we can say, so this value, this second parameter, this value, how this works, this goes from 0 to 1. So how it is going to work for the time? So by default you can see the length, this length, this is actually a milliseconds length. So by default value is 250. So it is going to run for 250 milliseconds, and it is going to trigger this function and this value from 0 to 1 at multiple times, right? Maybe 0, then 0 0.01, 0 0.02, 0 0.03, all these things. It is going to return all these, and it will definitely for sure start from 0 and go till 1, and when it reaches 1, it will not call this. So how it is going to work? First value for this time, first value 0, it will return this, and from whatever we return from this thickness value, this is going to be passed to this new uh, we'll move to this one. So it is going to be passed to this action delegate, and there we are setting this margin to this new thickness. So for example, let's say it ran for 10 times from 0 to 1. So with 0 we are returning blank thickness, or maybe we can simply whatever random value for now, just 0. If we are returning 0, it is going to set at 0. If it is 1, it is going to set at 1. Whatever we return from here, it is going to be passed for this method. So now we need to do some math. So from 0 to 1, that means it will have some decimal values, maybe 0. 0.01, 0.05, 0. Maybe 6, and something like that, 0.9, and then till 1, right? So it will have multiple iterations, all these till 1. So we need to do some math. What we can do, first thing, let's change it to maybe we have minus 100, right? So maybe let's do it in multiples of 10. So what we can do, maybe we can have a factor value, and let's take it as int only, and we are going to convert uh, value multiplied by 10. So now when the value is 0, it is 0. When the value is 0.01, for example, so we are going to multiply it with 10, and it will be our factor. If it is 0.1, we will multiply it with 10, so it will be our factor. So then with this factor, what we are going to do, so minus 100, this is our initial value, right? When it is hidden, this default value we can say, or maybe initial value. So this is our main initial value. So now the new thickness, or maybe we are just changing the right side, right? Left, top, right, bottom. We need to change the right. So maybe say right margin. We will have this factor multiplied by 10, because if it is 0.01, then it is actually, or maybe let's take example of 0.1. If it is 0.1, by multiplying this 10, it will become 1, and now we are multiplying it with this 10, now it will become 10. Okay, now this 10 we are going to minus the initial value from here. So now 10 minus 100, it will be minus 90. And when the second iteration comes, maybe for 0.2, it will be for 0.2, it will be 20 minus 100, that means minus 80. So it will go all the way 100 minus 100 with 0. So when it comes to 0, then this 100, this will come when this value is 1, and our the new value, the right margin, it is 0. 0 means we have our menu at the place where we want those, right? So this is the way how this is going to work, this right margin. Now for this thickness, we know 0, 0, and this right margin, this is the thing which we want, and the bottom was 50 already. So this thing. So for now, let's comment this out, and let's run this. So you see, it is coming over and over from right side. When we click on this gets triggered. So for this fab we have this logic which is rotating it. So if you see, one thing to mention here, when we click on it, first it rotates, then all these buttons comes to the screen, because we have this awaited animation. So this await means when we rotate we will stop there, so after rotating it will execute the further code. So what we can do, if we want these to be simultaneously, we can remove this await, we can rerun this, and now both of these things will animate together. You see, these are animating together. Now one thing, maybe when we are clicking on this for the first time, when it is now in vertical shape, the menu should be there, and when we click on this, what we need, I think we can reverse this. So when we click on this, it should show up the menus. When we click on it again, it should hide the menus. The same way it came from off screen to on screen, the same way when we click on it again, it should go from on screen to off screen in the same way. So what we need to just reverse this. Okay, so in order to reverse this, we need to have this. So maybe this rotated, we can use this only, right? So if it is rotated, that means it is shown. So first thing we need to check, we have this factor, and for this right margin we need to check if this is rotating for showing the menus or for hiding the menu. So default, this is for showing the menus, so we can check here, and maybe we will not set it here. Factor is okay, and we will see, or maybe let's set ternary operation only. So if not rotated, that means this is the first initial case, so we are going to do whatever we are doing. Now if it's not rotated, then this, and if it's rotated, that means it's in this scenario, and when we clicked on this, it should go from all the way from 0 to -100. So we are going to reverse this condition. So how we can do this? Same on this, so factor into 10, and we can maybe multiply with -1, right? So same, it was doing this, right? So factor into 10, factor was 1, so it was 10. So it will go from, for the first case, it will go 10 multiplied by -1, that means -10. For the second, it will go 10, factor will be 2. So 2 into 10 means 20, multiplied by -1, so it will be -20, all the way 100 multiplied by -1, that means -100. So it is going from -100 to 0. It is going from 0 to -10 to -20, 30, until negative -100. Okay, so this thing is fine. Now one problem, we are setting it here, right? So it will always have the reverted value, so we should remove it from here. Now if we add it here, so what we can do, so if we check this animate method, this is actually not a awaitable method, right? So if we add it here, how it is going to work, it will simply call this, and maybe after that, what, we can't say how much time it is going to take, right? Because we have this length 250, maybe we can increase this. So for these scenarios, the two identify when this animation completed. This animate method, it actually gives us another parameter. So if you see this finished parameter, so we are going to set this finished parameter. So this finished, it's of type action, which takes two values, thickness and pull. And for finishing we don't need anything here, so we can simply skip these. We don't need this, so we can skip these. What we need to do when this animation finishes, we just need to revert this. We need to set, if it was rotated then we'll set it to not rotated, and if it was not rotated we will set it to rotated. Okay, so now the complete logic looks fine. What is this? Accessing captured variable this, that hasn't, are we using this in this? No. Okay, fine. Let's rerun it. We don't need this. Okay, fine, it is working, right? So it's coming, it's going. When we click on it, so this is animating, rotating, what we can say, yep, animated floating action button implementation .maui. So you can play around with other options, and you can increase or decrease this length to speed up this. So this is a time in milliseconds, so currently it is 100 milliseconds, so it comes like this. So the default value, that is 250. So if we go with default value, how it will behave, let's say it will look nice, those also, right? Or maybe it is a bit slow and we can have it maybe 200 only. Yeah, nice. Okay, so you can play around with these. Maybe you can, I am getting these from right. You can implement it to get from the bottom. Maybe when you click on this, these menus should come from the bottom of the screen. And when you click on it again, it goes back to the bottom of the screen. And maybe you can add icons here. So maybe for example this fab button, this will be a plus icon. When we click on it, this, so this will become that close icon, something like that. So you can play around with these. So I'm going to add, push this to one GitHub repo, and I'm going to paste the link of this to this YouTube video in the pinned comment and description. And you can check out my other videos. So I have already built some of the cool things. I have built YouTube UI clone, I have built WhatsApp UI clone, and I'm building one FAB app using .NET MAUI from scratch. So I have already uploaded 3 parts of that. So in that I am using MVVM model, and I'm doing some UI stuff, some MVVM, and some of the device features, for example text to speech, copy to clipboard, sharing, accessing the device storage, all these things I'm doing in that. So, and subscribe my channel for all these awesome videos. And yep, like this video if you like this, and share it with your friends. So I'll be back with another cool video. Okay, yep.